All right, let's start this off with a simple story. Picture this. 3 people, they're all on the same construction site, and they're all doing the exact same job. That job? Carrying these massive heavy stones up a hill to build a giant temple.
So you walk up to the first builder and you ask him, "Hey, what are you doing?" And his face just lights up. See, for him, he's not just lugging a rock. He's part of something epic. He sees the bigger picture, the purpose, this incredible temple that's going to stand for centuries, all because of his work.
Then you find the second builder. This guy looks completely worn out, and when you ask him what he's doing, he just kind of groans. All he sees is the miserable task right in front of him. The weight of this one stone, the fact that he's done it hundreds of times and it feels like it'll never end. For him, the work is just work, and it's awful.
And finally, you get to the third builder. He seems totally checked out. His work? It's just something in the way. It's a block of time he has to suffer through before he can get back to what really matters to him, his family. The job itself? It means absolutely nothing to him.
Okay, so you've got 3 people, right? All doing the exact same physical task, but living in totally different worlds. The job itself isn't what's changing here. The only thing that's different is their mindset.
This idea really comes from the work of Stanford psychologist Carol Dweck. She calls it the growth mindset. And it's this fundamental belief that your abilities, your smarts, your talents, your skills, they aren't just set in stone from birth. Nope. They're things you can actually grow and develop if you put in the effort and the hard work.
And this difference is pretty much everything. Someone with a growth mindset looks at a tough challenge and thinks, awesome, a chance to get better. But someone with a fixed mindset sees that exact same challenge and thinks, uh-oh, better not try that, I might fail and look stupid. For one person, putting in effort is how you get good. For the other, if you have to try hard, it just means you weren't smart enough to begin with.
So that leads us to a really big question. What happens when we take this idea and apply it to the generation that's flooding into our colleges and workplaces right now, Gen Z? Well, it turns out the answer is pretty surprising.
And this is where it gets really interesting. Researchers surveyed a bunch of Gen Z students in Russia, and at first the results looked amazing. This chart here shows how they answered the statement, "For me, it's more important to learn something new than to get excellent grades." And look at that. They overwhelmingly agreed. That is textbook growth mindset language.
And they didn't stop there. The survey then flipped it, offering up a classic fixed mindset idea. I'd rather get high marks than actually learn something. And again, as this chart shows, they shot that idea down. So if you just look at the survey, you'd think, wow, we've got a whole generation of growth mindset superstars.
But, and this is a huge but, when the researchers stopped asking questions and started watching what the students actually did, the whole picture just fell apart. What they said they believed and how they behaved were 2 completely different things.
I mean, their actions were the total opposite of their words. Given a choice between a hard task or an easy one, they went for easy. Offered a spot in a tough logic competition, they passed. They'd even pick project topics they already knew inside and out, specifically to avoid having to learn something new. The researchers have a name for this, a false growth mindset. They know all the right things to say, but deep down, their actions are still driven by that fear of failure. And believe me, this isn't just some weird little psychological quirk. It points to some massive real-world trouble ahead. This number right here, 64%, is a huge red flag for our future.
It's the predicted shortfall of workers who have the skills we're going to need for the jobs of the near future. Just think about it for a second. If you have a workforce that runs from challenges and avoids learning new things, that's a workforce that's completely unprepared for a world that's changing faster than ever. This mindset paradox isn't just theory. It's a warning about a huge skills crisis that's right around the corner. So, what do we do about this? How do we get from a fake growth mindset to a real one? Well, it all starts with being proactive. It's about that shift from just waiting around for good things to happen to actually going out and making them happen yourself. The hands-on practical way to do this is called job crafting. The idea is simple. You don't just do your job, you actively shape it. You find little ways to change your tasks, tweak your relationships, and even adjust how you think about your work to make it more meaningful. It's how you go from being the guy hauling a rock to the guy building a temple. But here's the catch. Not all proactivity is good proactivity. This framework here, which looks a little complicated, basically shows us that there are 2 very different roads you can go down. On the left, you've got the constructive light path that leads to real growth. But on the right, you've got a destructive dark path that just leads to burnout. So the light path is all about finding your purpose, building real relationships, and becoming a master at what you do.
The dark path is its twisted reflection. It's about avoiding purpose, desperately needing others to tell you you're good enough, and just spinning your wheels, working like crazy without getting anywhere.
Now, on that constructive path, where you start is absolutely critical. It all kicks off with what's called existential crafting. You actively figure out why your work matters. That sense of purpose gives you real confidence. And with that confidence, you can build supportive, genuine connections with people. And with that network behind you, you feel safe enough to really dig in, master your job, and even innovate.
The dark path, well, it starts with the complete opposite, a total lack of purpose. That leads straight to insecurity, which creates this desperate need for other people to tell you you're doing okay. You're always asking, am I doing this right? Do you like it? And that constant search for approval leads to exhausting crafting. You look super busy, you're always stressed, but you're not actually making any real progress. It's a one-way ticket to burnout.
And that brings us right back to where we started. The work is the work. The study is the study. So the real question you have to ask yourself is, are you building a temple? Are you just hauling another heavy stone? Or are you just counting the minutes until you can go home? The answer has nothing to do with the stone and everything to do with you.